Previously on Two Skeptical Chaps.
At Michael
Yes.
on Twitter, who's a very amusing man who puts up some brilliant posters which a lot of people think are genuine. I've actually been in touch with him on Twitter, and hopefully he's going to guest star. We might get him on an episode in the near future, which would be amazing. Welcome to the Two Skeptical Chaps virtual studio at Michael 1979, our first Twitter guest.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I very much appreciate it.
Well, I'm blown away that I managed to get hold of you, because Spike mentioned this on one of the episodes when we first mentioned one of your posters. Spike said, yeah, you should contact him, see if we can get him on the show. And I thought, well, that's never going to happen. But
Yeah, I'm not that big. I'm not that difficult to get hold of.
Well, you're a lot bigger than me. I've got about 50 followers on Twitter. You've got about 18,000, so...
Yeah, we shouldn't define ourselves by our number of Twitter followers. We're all just people.
Indeed. Yeah, I actually just told Dan that to get him off my back. I didn't really think he'd get in touch with you.
He did. He was very polite. He was a true gentleman.
Well, you've been very polite back, but
Yeah.
then I've started to question some of your comments, Michael, because you listened to one of the episodes, I'm guessing, and said, oh, that was a really good reading. I think you said something along the lines of, you've really captured the spirit of Michael in your reading, or something along those lines. And at first I thought, oh, that's really nice. I'm quite chuffed about that. And then I thought, hang on a minute, he thinks I sound like someone that would put up a poster like that. Which I'm not sure that's actually a compliment, but I'm going to take it as one.
Yeah, I just felt, I've heard quite a few people reading those posters, and some people do them. I don't feel they really get the character. I felt you did.
I did it justice. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, can the two of you stop being polite with each other, please?
I can stop immediately.
Well, I was curious, because when I first contacted Michael on Twitter, I said, did he want to come on to the show either as himself or in character? Because there's obviously two Michaels, because Michael is your real first name, isn't it?
It
Michael?
is. I made a terrible mistake by naming
Yeah.
Poster Michael the same name as me. If I could change anything, I would change his name to something else.
Okay. Any suggestions for a name,
Yeah.
perhaps?
I would have gone with Jeffrey. Spelled
Jeffrey.
with a G. I would have gone with Jeffrey. Yeah. If I could redo it now, I would call him Jeffrey.
Okay.
So tell us, have you been figured out? Has anyone figured out who the real Michael is yet?
Well, my friends and family all know it's me, and
okay.
they're blabbermouths. They tell other people. So, yeah, a lot of people know it's me.
It's not the best kept secret then.
No,
but,
it's not.
Yes, I did like that you said you wanted you only had a couple of rules about talking to us, and you didn't want us to disclose your surname, which we're not going to do. But you said you liked the anonymity of it. It gave you a bit of fun.
Yeah.
That no one really knew who you were, and I like that you do that. I think that's quite admirable.
I don't really want it to be about me. I just like people to read the posters on their own merit. I don't want any of it to be about me. That's not really what I'm interested in.
But you've got quite a collection of posters. Do you ever read them yourself? Do you do a reading? Would you be prepared to do one for us, or do you prefer to people just to read them themselves?
I read them out loud. Everything I write, I read out loud.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. All right. I wasn't sure, based on some of our correspondence, as to whether you'd be up for doing that or not, or whether I'd have to do it and then in front of the author. I thought that could be quite intimidating.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm happy to read one of them out if you want.
Ooh.
But yeah,
Okay,
I always read them out before I print them. I think it's quite important to know that they flow and that there's a cadence to them.
I think we've read quite a few on the show already. I think we mentioned the piano one once, but I don't think we actually read the full thing out.
Yeah.
Would you be up for giving us a reading of that one? I think that would be
Well,
quite nice.
if you just give me a sec, the piano one, yeah, that was pretty big. That was in newspapers, isn't it?
I thought all these posters would be plastered around your room by now.
I don't keep them. I stick them up in town and just leave them. I don't actually. All I have is the digital equivalent.
That was going to be one of my questions. Do you actually put these up in public somewhere?
I do put them up in public.
Because you could just you could just do it at home and take a picture. We wouldn't be any the wiser. But these are actually going up in public in your hometown, I'm guessing.
They are. I put them. The vast majority I put up in Waterford city centre. I
Any particular location in Waterford City Centre, or just randomly around the
There are a
place?
few locations in there that I like. I'm always looking for busy places at quiet times where I can stick them up without being noticed. But I know that people will see them. So yeah, a troubling amount of my life is spent walking around Waterford City Centre looking for suitable locations to stick up an A4 sheet of paper.
Trying to be inconspicuous.
Yeah, that's what my life is. There's a lovely little insight into my existence.
One thing that really struck me was, because I'm into numbers and I'm sometimes very weird when it comes to numbers and the way I approach numbers or deal with different types of numbers. And the one thing that struck me was your times. So you've got this weird times like 12 minutes past 2 or 17 minutes past 5. Is there any meaning behind those, or are those just totally random?
I feel like the character of Michael is incredibly punctual. He's so fastidious that I don't feel he would stick to numbers that are evenly divisible by 5. To him, he wants people to turn up at times that exactly suit him, and he's not willing to compromise on this. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, I like that he maybe based it around like a bus timetable or something like that, and that was why it was 7:12. He'll meet you in the park or whatever, because he's timed it exactly that he can get the number 10 bus or whatever it is, and then
that could be part of it. But the general premise behind that was that Michael is just so particular about everything that everything has to be exactly as he wants it
on his times, and no one else's.
He's
I must
very
say, I definitely got that from the tennis one. Definitely, I got that he's very particular.
Yes, I feel the tennis one is really good. It says an awful lot about Michael. It tells you that he's this guy who wants everything his own way. He has these ridiculous ideas, but he's also slightly incompetent.
I was just going to ask, do you actually turn up at the times mentioned on the poster the next day and see if anybody's actually waiting around to become his tennis partner or teaching piano, or do you go back at whatever time it is on the poster? No, you just... Okay, so there could be.
Yeah, I don't go back. It'd be a lovely thing if someone did show up and was just waiting for me, but to me that's not really the point of the joke.
Sure. No, but I like the idea that somebody might, just to see what happens, wait around just to see if somebody turns up wanting a tennis lesson, or I kind of like the idea of that.
I like the idea of someone just standing there with their tennis equipment waiting for me.
Or a grand piano. That could be
the grand piano, yes, of course.
Or you under camouflage or in a trench coat standing in a corner somewhere just waiting to see if someone actually does turn up.
Well, I do. After I put them up, I will sometimes just stand back a little and wait to ensure that people are seeing it and that people do
so you get to see people read them.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me. I like just seeing people stop as they go about their day and read this weird A4 sheet of paper.
Well, it's not. I think it makes the world a little bit more charming, though.
It
that
does.
There's things
It
like
does.
that
Thank you.
out in it. That's how I describe the comedy. I think of Poster Michael. It's quite charming because you're not. Normally they say for a joke, there's normally someone has to be the butt of the joke, but the only person that could be the butt of this joke is Poster Michael.
Yes.
And he's obviously quite happy, so it's very nice.
Yeah.
Humour.
Well,
I like it.
Dan saying that, I can imagine myself walking in a park, reading this poster, or one of Michael's posters, and really having a chuckle to myself. But I can imagine quite a few people who would read it and take it seriously, as we've probably seen some responses out there.
Well, that's a separate joke.
Yeah,
though, isn't
and
it?
that's a separate
that makes
joke,
it even
yeah.
funnier afterwards. Yes, are we good to go with the piano one, Michael?
Yeah.
Would you mind giving us a reading of that? I think that would be brilliant.
This is the voice that's in my head when I read them. So it's like, wanted, piano lesson. Hi, I am Michael, and I need to learn how to play the piano before Saturday. My parents have been paying for me to get piano lessons every week for the last 30 years, but I never actually attended any of the lessons, and I spent the money on candles instead. Now they want me to play Beethoven's Fifth Symphony at their wedding anniversary on Saturday. If you can teach me, be here tomorrow at 11:06 a.m. with a grand piano. I am a fast learner. I once memorized the lyrics to Mbop by Hansen in less than 8 hours, so I am pretty sure I will pick it up quickly. In return, I can teach you some cool wrestling moves or tell you some facts about helicopters. Whichever you prefer. Not both, though. Michael.
That's brilliant.
Oh,
I love those so much.
Yeah, I tell you what. One of your more understated ones is the music writing duo, or singing
he's
duo.
looking for a song partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd already written the songs, and then he was looking for someone to come along
and that one to me, I mean, my wife and I were reading it, and she didn't really think it was funny, but I practically sat here with tears in my eyes. I found that one probably one of your best ones.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites. I think it's really succinct and tells you a lot about Michael's ambitions and dreams. He has all these idiotic schemes, and his way of going about bringing them to fruition is totally stupid and impractical.
I like the consistency as well, because there's quite often a theme across the posters. There's characters. There's the cousin Martin. Do you actually have a cousin Martin? Is it based on a real life cousin, or is that just an invention?
Very much an invention. I'm
disappointed. I really like the idea of cousin Martin, who drives around and brings ukuleles and gives him cans of beer.
Yeah, no, Martin.
I'm slightly sad that that's not based on a real life cousin.
No, I have a lot of cousins, but I was very careful to give Michael's cousin a name that none of my actual real life cousins have. So in the first poster that I did, Michael has a best friend that he's just fallen out with called Kevin. And the first poster is an ad in which Michael is seeking a new best friend to replace Kevin.
Oh.
And I think that's quite important because I always think of Kevin as having been the buffer between Michael and the rest of the world. And now that Kevin has been jettisoned, we get to see Michael interacting directly with the world, and these are the horrifying results. And it seemed logical to me that his best friend could only be a family member, because who else would willingly spend time with someone as difficult as Michael?
You've opened up Pandora's Box here, because this is much more deeper to me now, and I'm so interested to know more. Definitely.
Do you have like a whole backstory ready to go? Is there more to come out about Mike? Have you already got it planned? Is there like a character arc?
I have vague ideas, but I can't say like that it's been this well planned out and that I have a direction that I definitely know I'm going to go in, because I'm not that organised and I don't think things through that well. But I'd like to develop him, and I'd like to tell interesting stories with him. And I think character development would be important for that. If I can't develop the character and tell new and interesting stories with him, then I wouldn't do it anymore. That I'd stop being interested.
I definitely think there's a book in this. You should definitely.
Yes,
if you're not planning it already, I think there's a book in here.
Yeah, well, about a month ago, a publisher contacted me and asked if it's something I'd be interested in. I'm in two minds about it. I mean, I'm not opposed to it in principle if I can find a way to keep it interesting and funny, but I'd need to write a lot more posters than I already have. I only have 20, 25, maybe 24. And
a short book.
I don't want to overdo the joke. I don't want to be the guy who's still doing the same joke 6 months after people have stopped laughing at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose you could have other characters that put up posters as well, and if you needed to expand your universe, just to rip off Marvel, I guess. You could have other people posting if you needed to expand it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe Cousin Martin could start sticking up his own.
Oh, I'd love to see a counter. Or maybe what was his old best friend's name?
Kevin.
He could put one up. Kevin. Maybe Kevin could put something up to say.
Every superhero needs a nemesis.
Yes.
Has this become a brainstorming session?
This is what we do. We have these mad rambling conversations. I enjoy this.
I just find it very intriguing that all of this comes out of your head, because usually if you see these sketch show comedians, when they get interviewed, they always say, oh, my character is based on someone I met in the airport, or it's based on someone I met here, there, or wherever. And all of this just sort of came out of your head, and I think there's something in this. I think you should take it further.
Yeah, well, I suppose I see him as something of an alter ego. Like, there are definite influences there, but generally I think of him as an alter ego. I mean, I'm a natural introvert. I find it hard to initiate conversations with strangers. You know, that's something I've always struggled with. But it's not something that Poster Michael finds difficult. He's incredibly over-familiar with strangers. He's brash and assertive and extroverted in ways that I'm not. And I quite like that about him. But
well, here you go. I've got a good question for you. I think if they made a movie, Poster Michael the movie, who would play Poster Michael? If you could pick someone famous, do you think there's anybody that would fit the role?
Parts of him remind me of George Costanza from Seinfeld.
Yes. Oh, very good.
Where George, nothing ever went right for George, but he always came back the next week with a new scheme that would improve his life. So maybe a young Jason Alexander, possibly.
I could see that.
Yeah.
That could work.
Yeah.
I like that very much.
Yeah, just coming back to this introvertedness, I can definitely tell you from my own experience, I was always extremely introverted. I think, Dan, you probably are a bit introverted as well yourself, but I think Dan and I are the same in that we hide it very well. I think in my sort of early 20s, I even went into DJing and lots of little things where people totally misread me. They thought I was extroverted, but I actually wasn't. I just hid it very well. Or I did all these other little things to try and bring myself out, and it didn't really work. I still saw myself as introverted. Even this podcast thing kind of helps in a sense, but I still see myself as a massive introvert. So I think it's interesting in that you're using this character to try and bring yourself out, because I think every introvert has something that they try to use to bring themselves out.
Well, it's not like I feel like I need to cure my introvertedness. I'm quite, I'm quite content as an extrovert, but as an introvert, I should say. But yeah, there are just parts of me that, they're just characteristics that I don't possess, and to be able to express ideas like this in ways that I couldn't personally, yeah, I like that. I find that quite helpful and interesting.
So one of the things that we focused on in the show when we first found your posters wasn't just the poster; it was some of the reactions around the posters. And we talked very briefly before we started recording, and you mentioned some of your favourite ones, or the most extreme ones, were around the piano poster that you just read. I've got a few of these up now that I can look at, and the first one kind of sums it up really, which is this must be a joke of some sort.
No.
I do like that people are questioning it, that there's any doubt whether this is a joke or not. I do find that unbelievable.
Yeah, this is up for debate. Is it? It must be.
But you said some people got quite angry with you.
It's always interesting to me how angry people can get over something that doesn't require or merit any kind of anger. But there's one of those replies, and I don't know if it's on your screen at the moment, Dan, but there's a reply where the person says, I think it's a woman, she gets really angry at Michael for being older than she is and not paying for his own piano lessons because she pays for her violin lessons. And she's furious about it. It's extraordinary. And it's so fascinating to me, like how people can get so angry about something that's so obviously a joke and requires no anger whatsoever.
Well, no, it's clearly he's quite a simple character in a way, and it's someone who I don't think he'd ever do anything malicious.
No,
he seems to get angry about certain things, or concerned about certain things, like not wanting to get caught up with a drugs cheat when he's looking for a tennis partner.
Yes,
but he never seems to be angry himself with really anybody. He seems quite a charming, simple fellow. Yeah. So to be annoyed at him, seems
he's oblivious. He's there's nothing malicious about him. He's just totally oblivious and doesn't really know how to interact with other people. He's also maybe slightly misanthropic, but there's nothing harmful about Poster Michael. He's just an oblivious idiot, really. And
he seems to have quite a fascination with karate
and wrestling. He loves
Karate and wrestling, yes.
I feel like he would have his interests are the pursuits and interests that a 10-year-old boy would have. He's interested in.
I was going to say, he strikes me, because I'm actually very into my martial arts myself. I am a taekwondo instructor, oddly.
Oh, really?
But he strikes me as, now and again, you get that guy that turns up and has been doing it for years, but is absolutely useless at it, and is still training with the kids. That's the kind of how I picture Michael, or poster Michael, I should say.
Absolutely. He's no good at karate. He loves karate. He does it all the time, but he's no good at it.
But in his head, he would be, he's just shy of Olympic fame, I think.
Yeah. That's exactly how I see him. Like,
I
he
love
thinks
that one,
he's
yeah.
he thinks he's far more athletic than he is. And like on the Ghost Hunter poster, he claims to be really good at climbing. In my head, he is not good at climbing.
Well, that was another one where I liked some of the reactions, was the Ghost Hunter one, because you had the poster with, it was supposed to be Ghost Hunter, but the business cards got printed up with Goat Hunter on it. And some of the reactions I saw to that were people were saying, well, he shouldn't have paid for those business cards if they misspelt Ghost. I would have never paid for them.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
I must tell you, the Ghost Hunter one is my wife's favourite, especially the Goat Hunter business cards. She found that absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that one. Like, it's the best tenner I ever spent getting those business cards. And I can just imagine someone at Vistaprint seeing that and thinking, someone is ordering Goat Hunter cards. Who is this maniac?
So give us a sneak peek. What's your idea for the next Michael poster?
I haven't finalised the next one yet. I think the premise is going to be that Michael has got himself banned from a local shopping centre for idiotic reasons, and now he needs someone to go in and do his shopping for him. And naturally, he'll have lots of very specific demands that this person must follow in order to satisfy him.
So I'm intrigued as well. What type of comedy do you usually listen to? What do you watch? I mean, what are you into? What makes you tick in a sense?
I love. I suppose I can tell you what I hate. I hate like shit, like The Big Bang Theory and that
yes, I hate that.
those sort of awful sitcoms. I like Seinfeld and Arrested Development, Broad City. Actually, one of my favourite ever moments from this was when Will Arnett, who plays Job in Arrested Development, retweeted one of my posters. That was
awesome.
an amazing moment for me. It's like, this is probably the funniest character in maybe the funniest sitcom ever, who likes a joke I've done. That's extraordinary. So yeah, I like those. What else do I like?
I was gonna, because I've mentioned him to you before, because I think your work it's not identical by any means, but it's sort of similar in genre to like a Dave Gorman. I think he's done things where he's left posters up in parks and things like.
Really, because I haven't seen Dave Gorman in years. I think he's on. Is he on Dave or something like that now?
Yeah, they got him on Dave, and I'm not sure if they got him on any other channels, but he does his slideshow presentations and things like that, where he often sends things out in the mail that sort of have. I describe him as having that sort of charming quality as well, because he's not really insulting anybody or offending anybody with his humour. There's this kind of he invents these characters that are almost poster Michael-esque, I would say, in some of his comedy.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. Quite a few people say, "Is this Dave Gorman?" underneath places on Facebook where it's been posted. I can confirm it's not Dave Gorman. I'm a very separate entity from Dave Gorman. But like, I imagine what he does is far more complicated than what I do. Like, I'm just telling stories, and that's just the thing that I love about it. Like, each of those posters is just a short story, and that's what's interesting to me. Each one, it's just a short story about this man for whom nothing ever goes right, and he wants to be more than he is. And I love telling the story of this character. It's a very simplistic thing, I know, but that's what I love about it. I'm sure what Dave Gorman does requires far more varied talents than what I possess.
No,
I don't know.
I think you
I would say
understate
you're in
yourself.
his league. I think you're definitely, yeah.
That's very nice.
I'm a big fan of both.
Oh, thank you very much.
Let's put it that way. There you go. But it's not just. I was going to say it's not just the Michael posters. I mean, that's what first got our attention. But I've seen you've. I don't know if this has been a recent thing, but you've kind of expanded into other areas. I've read about your children's book or children's short stories.
Heartwarming stories for children that are just terrifying life lessons. Yeah. Really proud of those. I feel like they're really.
Are these written by? Would this be completely separate from Poster Michael, or do you think he's had some
separate?
Would he be involved? Okay, so he's not involved in the writing process behind these.
I don't think so. I feel like some of my tweets on Twitter, there's a lack of consistency, and I accept that. Like some of my tweets on Twitter are very much in keeping with the Poster Michael character, but heartwarming stories for children, they're kind of me just at my most cynical about life, I think.
Would it be wrong of us to ask for another reading, perhaps, of maybe Bobby the Very Tall Squirrel? Because that's one of my favourites of those.
Yeah, just give me a second, I'll get it.
Okay. If you haven't heard this, Spike, you're in for a treat.
I've not heard the squirrel one. I have to tell you, Michael, so I'm a big fan, but Dan is a mega fan. So you need to be worried. He might just be stalking you or something.
I'm going to start stalking you now. I've got your Skype address and everything.
Oh, I'm absolutely okay with this. It's nice to have fans.
Well, you can be added to my restraining order collection.
Okay, I have Bobby the Very Tall Squirrel in front of me if you're ready.
Go for it.
Are you sitting comfortably, Spike?
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah.
This is one of 8 of what I call heartwarming stories for children. And on Twitter, I'm desperately trying to get a major publisher to buy the rights for it so that we can make a children's book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bobby the Very Tall Squirrel. Once upon a time, there lived a squirrel who was over 8 feet tall. His name was Bobby, and his favourite food was hazelnuts. Unfortunately, squirrels weren't meant to be 8 feet tall, and unsurprisingly, Bobby was unable to find enough food to sustain himself through winter. Bobby died in January, his existence a meaningless footnote in an uncaring universe, a fate that awaits us all. Other squirrels attended his funeral, but did so out of courtesy, and not because they particularly liked him. The end.
Brilliant.
I can tell you.
I love these.
From the really bad children's stories out there, that one warmed my heart.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
I'll tell you, do you ever watch The Apprentice?
No, I don't. I watch one reality show,
okay.
and it's Survivor. That's my only vice, really.
Mine is The Apprentice, and in the last, I think it was the last series, one of the tasks was they had to make a children's book. And I think Bobby the Very Tall Squirrel was a hell of a lot better than what those two teams managed to knock up in the space of a week.
Yeah, I'm really proud of those children's stories. I feel like they're quite unique and just very cynical and weird. I like them.
Well, do you have a favourite one of those? Is there one in particular that?
Yeah, it's.
I'm just trying to get him to read more, Spike.
Are we at the stage now where I'm just reading you 2 children's stories?
I desperately wanted to avoid doing that to you because I thought that'd be really rude just to get you on and just go, read all your jokes, funny man. But
Okay,
it has deteriorated into that. But if you've got one more, I'd love to. I've actually got something for you at the end, though,
really?
From one of our listeners, which I think is quite good.
Oh, really? I'm looking forward to it. Okay, this is called Monsters Under the Bed. Again, heartwarming story for children. Are there monsters under my bed, Daddy? Sarah Jane asked as her father tucked her into bed. No, sweetie, he replied. The world is full of terrifying monsters, and what makes them most frightening of all is how innocuous they appear. They look respectable, wear business suits, work in positions of power, and effect public policy that destroys lives, vandalizes the planet, and ruins society, all while enriching themselves. These are the scariest monsters of all, and they are everywhere, but probably not under your bed. Good night. The end.
Oh, brilliant. Daddy's got some
It's
issues.
fantastic. It's a bit like what's that? Did you hear that children's book that Samuel Jackson?
Yes.
I'm not sure
Go
if
the
he wrote
fuck
it, but
to
he definitely
sleep,
read
yeah.
it. Where it's "Go the fuck to sleep."
Oh yeah,
Have you heard that one, Michael?
I hadn't heard
That's
of it.
quite
Someone
good.
sent me a link to it on Twitter. I didn't really get a chance to check it out.
Oh, it's quite good. But I quite like the idea of Sam Jackson would, I think, have the perfect voice for reading your children's
Oh, yeah.
stories, just as an idea.
I'd like that.
I'll
Can
tell
you
what,
make that happen?
I'll tweet him. And well, I got you on the show. Let's see what I can do.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
But yes, I mentioned earlier. So I saw that you've also done. There's poetry you've done.
Yeah, I
which-
feel like my best talent. I tell people this to try and impress them. I used to try to tell girls this, that my best talent was that I can write a poem on any subject in less than half an hour. And, you know, it never impressed them. No one was ever impressed by that. But I feel I can do that.
Well, I very much enjoyed that. And there was Valentine's Day cards, messages as well, which they're not so much poems, but I thought this one was very poignant, where it's, I love you so much, but of course, as you know, all things are transient and the vast majority of relationships don't work out, so let's not forget there's a high probability that we will slowly fall out of love, break up and never speak to each other again, due to the lingering feelings of heartbreak and resentment.
Okay. How is that not true? There's nothing untrue about that.
Is that the same person who read the story to the kid about the monsters under the bed?
It probably is, yeah.
Yes, that's the Valentine's Day card to the wife.
Yeah.
But yes, we've got one of our. I'm not sure how much of the show you listen to, but we've got agents. We've built our own spy agency, inspired by one of our very first listeners.
Okay.
And one of those, 009, is Claire. And Claire I'm friends with on Facebook. And Claire shared the other day, because it was Mother's Day, one of her kids wrote her a poem, and she took a picture of it, and it's very nice, and it's childlike handwriting, but, you know, nice little red writing and things around it. And I wondered what you'd make of this poem, Michael.
Okay.
So, this is, I love Mummy so very much, her gentle voice and her soft touch. She smells so nice, like sugar and spice. She looks so pretty in her dress of red. I will cry and cry one day when she's dead.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Now, I think that's a junior Michael.
Yeah.
He's on his way, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very
I think
impressed
Claire
with
put
that.
the comment with it of a day when your children show you how much they love you and remind you very, very so eloquently of your own mortality.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah. That's
Oh, there you go.
definitely a potential future Michael there.
Maybe a writing partner.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
My
And
pleasure.
I don't know if you'd ever be up for coming back on, maybe in a while, if there's a few more posters or anything else. We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I'll definitely do
we
that.
won't make you commit every week.
I'm not busy, as evidenced by the fact that I
Have
spend my
evidenced by
time
the
walking
posters.
around town, sticking up A4 sheets of paper. I have time on my hands.
Just on a side question, what are your views in terms of? It's probably a widely open-ended question, but what are your views in terms of the whole skepticism and secularism and atheism, or the general topics that we tend to talk about?
I'm very much a keen atheist. Like, I was raised Catholic, but everyone in Ireland is raised Catholic. I'm very much an atheist now, but I'm quite turned off by aggressive atheism. I have no interest in that. I don't really care what anyone else believes. I find all religion ridiculous and ludicrous, but I don't really spend a lot of time thinking or talking about it because I have better things to do with my life, really.
Yeah, I think that's how Spike and I would.
Yeah.
I mean, we do talk about it now and again, but we don't want to be one of those podcasts that just bangs on every episode about everything that's wrong with religion or
Yeah.
you know what. I mean, there's enough shows out there that do just that and only that. But what about Poster Michael? Do you think he's a religious man? He strikes me that he probably would be.
I don't know. I feel like he'd be too preoccupied with wrestling and karate and his other pursuits to worry about big ideas like that. It's just not the sort of thing that would cross his mind, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's the right way for Poster Michael.
Well, before you go, I think we definitely need to give Michael a rank spike. We definitely need to induct him into our Two Skeptical Chaps agency, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So this is something we do, Michael. We've got 9 agents so far. I think you will be the 10th one.
Okay.
So 0010.
I
First one
noticed
with
you've
4
gone
digits.
with 0010 rather than just 010, just 010.
010. No, I think a 00 it sounds much more exciting, doesn't it?
Okay.
No? You don't approve?
Sounds cool.
I may wish to change my name at some point.
All right, but I think 0010 is going to be... And I'm not sure we mentioned your full Twitter address. So you're at Michael1979
Yes.
on Twitter. So if anybody wants to find you...
And know
he's on
how
Twitter,
old I
and
am, that'll do it.
And well, exact same year as myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there
It's
you
a
go.
good year.
So it was, apparently. But yeah, it's a real treat to scroll through your Twitter feed. Is brilliant because you just keep going down. Oh, there's another poster. There's one I haven't seen yet.
Well,
And
if
quite a lot
actually
of good
like
retweets
there's
as well.
a link on my Twitter bio to all 25 posters. They're all in a collection there.
Oh, there's a list.
Ah,
Yes,
That's
okay.
That's going to be some bedtime reading for me tonight then.
Oh, I'm glad to
There you
hear it.
Well, I think we've taken up enough of your valuable time. It's time to get out there and slap another poster up.
I'll do my best, lads. Thanks very much for having me.
But,
It's been great fun.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Right.
Cheers,
This
thanks
has
for
been
your
brilliant.
time.
I've enjoyed this very much.
My absolute pleasure.
If you outlandishly plan to continue lending your ears to these bizarre chaps and wish to correspond with them, they can be reached as follows. Facebook, Two Skeptical Chaps. Twitter at 2SC Podcast. Email 2sc.podcast@gmail.com. Or you can call them and leave a voicemail message on UK number 0795 251 3007. They look forward to any input for future episodes or the sharing of feedback that's half-witted, profound, or anywhere in between. No pressure. If you're still listening by now, well done.